Good evening, my fellow Blue Jay fans. I am your very feckless host, Steve Fek, streaming a State of the Blue Jays address from across the border and from the On Fek Circle. Tuesdays, we're always live, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Jays from the Couch's social media channels, our YouTube channel. And if you missed the live stream, you can always go and pick up this podcast as well as all of the shows, the Jays from the Couch radio podcast and Karen Suter's Sunny Side of the Dome. You can download it as a podcast anywhere your finer podcasts are found. This misadventure is presented by JFtC.com. And with this show in particular, I'm going to say up at the front, the views expressed in this On Fek Circle and this State of the Blue Jays address are not necessarily the opinions or responsibilities of JFtC.com. But they give me this forum to allow me to talk and to have conversations started with fellow Blue Jay fans. And I certainly thank all of my colleagues, and especially our senior editor and founder, Shaun Doyle, for the opportunity to do that. And this program is a proud supporter of the JFtC versus ALS campaign. You can help us fight ALS, and we do it every day because for ALS patients, and their caregivers and their families and their medical teams, there's no day offs. So we don't take a day off. We ask you every show. We encourage you every day to make a donation to the JFtC versus ALS campaign to help us retire ALS once and for all. Our efforts aren't going to necessarily save the lives of people that are currently battling, and it is a battle. If you're an ALS patient and a family member, you're going into battle every day. There is no cure at this particular point. There are treatments, but ALS, unfortunately, is a death sentence. So please go to support.alsevents.ca/JaysFromTheCouch. That's support.alsevents.ca/JaysFromTheCouch. And you can make a secure, tax-deductible donation. You can also find a link on our website, JFtC.com. No amount is too small. You would be amazed at the things that the ALS Society of Canada can do with $5 or $10. That being said, no amount is too large. Wink, wink. Okay, I mean, basically, whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you can contribute to this fight against ALS, it is greatly appreciated. Certainly by us at Jays from the Couch, we all have a passion for this cause, but for the patients and the families that ultimately receive benefits from ALS Society of Canada. Now, if you would rather contribute in a different way while also getting something back, if you notice down in the bottom left-hand corner of what's up on the screen here on our YouTube channel, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, there's Jays from the Couch t-shirts. I have an On Fek Circle poster over my shoulder. There are coasters. There are clocks. All the shows are represented. You could support and show your support for any aspect of Jays from the Couch, whether it be the radio podcast, the On Fek Circle, Sunny Side of the Dome. 100% of the profits. And I always repeat this twice because I want people to understand. 100% of the profits go directly to the ALS Society of Canada. There's no fees, nothing like that we as Jays from the Couch deduct or keep back. In essence, 100% of the profits go directly to ALS Society and, more importantly, to ALS patients and their families. So please do consider a donation today. And let me also encourage you to visit our Facebook group, Blue Jays Talk for All. Membership is growing by the day. Conversations are getting more lively by the day. We have an in-game live chat for every Blue Jays game. There's a rotating group of people that are in. You might not necessarily see the same person or the same Jays from the Couch uh, personality, if you will, there in the chat room. But we have Ryan Mueller, our minor league guru, who has a great daily series on the Blue Jays minor league system. He is in there. Shaun Doyle, our founder and senior editor, Karen Suter from Sunny Side of the Dome, myself, and just a cast of just terrific, loyal Blue Jay fans. So again, if you're on Facebook, go put in Blue Jays Talk for All, join the group. It's free. You can invite other people as well, not just do it yourself. Invite other friends saying, hey, look, this is a pretty cool place. We share Jays from the Couch articles, shows. More importantly, we share conversation with each other. So please do consider joining the Blue Jays Talk for All Facebook group. For those of you that have watched this misadventure over the years, anytime the Fekless Wonder has a suit and tie on, it's generally not a good sign. I have to do this show. This is a show that an episode that I just have to do. I hope people will enjoy it and connect to it. Then we'll click away. If it causes people to, block me on social media or unfollow me or whatever it is, well, so be it. That's on me. It's not a reflection of Jays from the Couch. Let's make that clear. This is coming from me personally, as a person that has been talking Blue Jays baseball with you for 4 seasons now. I can no longer just sit back and do my usual stick and come up with funny one-liners in tweets or here on the show, poking fun at this and that, and trying to get people to laugh as well as think. I can't just do that anymore. So that's why I came up with this State of the Blue Jays address. If you saw the little taglines advertising the show and that you'll see on our social media shares, it's got me with a little Abe Lincoln beard. This is part a call to action. It is the Feckless address to Blue Jays Nation, if you will. But it's not just, that Fek, people laughing at themselves in spite knowing that they shouldn't, based on the things I say. And I put that in there as well, because I need to apologize for something that I said. And honestly, I didn't realize I was even saying it on the podcast. I didn't catch it until after I watched the podcast on our YouTube channel back to kind of critique, what we're doing, looking at angles, looking at technical issues, whatever it would be. It was very inappropriate. My anger at Ross Atkins, which will come through in this address, does not justify what I said. No one has called me out on it. Our senior editor and founder, Shaun Doyle, didn't, really just offhandedly kind of made a joke, and I, about it right before we went on the air. I do apologize for that. There's no cause for that, no reason for that. We won't have those kind of things in this very important State of the Blue Jays address, but I wanted to get out there as well. I really hope that Blue Jay fans, and this show is really strictly for Blue Jay fans. I like to appeal kind of even beyond the Rogers Center and beyond the realm of Blue Jays fandom with most of my shows, even though, again, this is from a Blue Jays news website. We talk 99% of the time about Blue Jays, what's happening with the Blue Jays. But I do kind of push the envelope and go other directions quite often. This one really is for you, Blue Jay fans. You need to decide for yourself what I talk about here tonight, you agree with or you believe in. That's entirely up to you. But I can no longer be silent. I can no longer be the wisecracking Fekless Wonder on this. I need to come out and call for the firing of Ross Atkins. I would even expand it out to say that I think now Mark Shapiro needs to go as well. And I could have come up with all kind of anecdotes about their time in Cleveland together and how they couldn't get a bullpen built there and they can't get a bullpen that works here in Toronto. I come up with all kind of stats, but that's for another time. The time has come for someone to come out. And again, this isn't Blair and Barker. This isn't John Gibbons or anything on Sportsnet. This is our own little world here at Jace from the Couch. But somebody needs to come out and say it and let people know that I'm dead serious, that both of those guys need to go. And I'll explain why what that has to happen and why I have come to that conclusion. But let me present some background for my motivations here. My personal hero is and always will be Robert Kennedy. What draws me to his life and legacy was his willingness to always learn, always change directions, always evolve, no matter how personally frightening and painful that might be, or how foolish it might make you look in the long run. Bobby Kennedy achieved and influenced, especially over the last 4 years of his life. So I'm using that 4-year comparison to my 4-season adventure covering the Blue Jays here for Jays from the Couch. It's really hard in those 4 years for the average person to understand and embrace, what Kennedy was trying to go for in those particular times, especially given his history of behaviors and his public reputation. But in March of 1968, Robert Francis Kennedy announced his intention to challenge the sitting president of the United States, Lyndon Johnson, for the Democratic nomination for president. He had become convinced that the U.S. could not survive another 4 years of failed policies. So let's again focus in on that statement. Could not survive another 4 years of failed policies. The Blue Jays cannot survive as a successful, truly contending organization through another 4 years of failed policies. In his announcement, Kennedy said, "I do not run for the presidency merely to oppose any man, but to propose new policies." This isn't my thinly veiled grudge against Ross Atkins. I mean, I've made that very, very clear that I think that he's a rodeo clown. I mean, I've gone that far. I mean, of course, I've apologized for it since, but now I'm taking it back. He's a rodeo clown. He's busy dancing. Woo, woo, look at me, look at me. Don't worry about what's happening on the field. Look, 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 look. Okay, I have never hidden that, and I know that's angered many, many people. This is not about my personal issues with Ross Atkins, and I could come up with all kind of historical things and facts and throw that out there. That's not what this is about. This is about you as a Blue Jay fan. So on this day, June 20th, the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, I feel that I'm obliged to do all I can, as Robert Kennedy said when he announced his run for the presidency, to convince fans of the Toronto Blue Jays to loudly and daily call for the firing of Ross Atkins. And if you also believe as deeply as I do that Mark Shapiro now also needs to go, he also needs to pay for what has happened this season, a season that started with such hope and expectation. Actions that in essence set up the Blue Jays for failure last year in the playoffs. I mean, and you can go through all the statistical and strategic reasons why the Blue Jays lost to the Mariners in that first round. Bottom line is the team was not prepared. Failed decisions provided failed results. 2021, absolutely, the front office's inaction cost the Blue Jays a playoff berth. Flat out. So let's get more presidential here. 4 years and 17 pounds ago, Jason the Couch put forth on this continent a new wonder, a feckless wonder. And in so many ways, it was a dream come true for me to not only write and talk about a Major League Baseball team, but my favorite American League team, the Toronto Blue Jays. And there was a day before the days of Right Said Manfred that it was really important. I think it was every baseball fan's duty to have a team in the American League and a team in the National League because there were two very distinct brands of baseball. I'd been attending games at Exhibition Stadium since 1979. And slowly but surely, I fell deeply in love with the fledgling franchise that was starting to build toward a bright future. And there's sort of like a unique part of this is that I was an American Blue Jays fan. At no point did I live in Canada. I mean, I have Canadian heritage on my mother's side. But if I was going to follow family allegiances, really, I would have probably been a Tigers fan. They're from Western Ontario, not far from Windsor, and so Detroit was really the baseball team that made an impact in those areas. You had Canadians like Mickey Stanley from London that played for the Tigers. The Tigers had a lot of players from Western Ontario on their rosters throughout the years. And that's very unique to be an American Blue Jay fan. You may have heard me if you've listened to this podcast before or watched this show before. I grew up in the New Jersey, New York metropolitan area as a Boston Red Sox fan. Not a Yankee fan, not a Mets fan, not a Phillies fan. All teams within 90 minutes of my home, excluding traffic, that I could have gone to games, and I did, but I could catch all of the games on the radio and I could watch all of the games on TV. I chose to be a Red Sox fan, probably due to my infatuation with Carl Yastrzemski. When you're a young kid, I think your fandom is more dictated by the players on the field than any kind of sense of community or where you live. So I was already coming from an area where I was used to being sort of like the outsider, the outlier. And in spite of the challenges of getting to watch Toronto games and traveling, to see them play, I would have to go to Yankee Stadium or Baltimore or Municipal Stadium in Cleveland or travel down to Dunedin for spring training. I became a zealot for the Jays. And I was preaching primarily to deaf ears. So you can imagine, to be invited to join Jays from the Couch by our founder, Shaun Doyle, and teaming with him and Karen Suter on the JFtC radio podcast and developing this program, have my articles published and have people actually read them. It was a very special thing. So for this, I don't know how to describe it. This anger, this simmering anger that never seems to go away, for it to develop just as I was making this connection here with all of you through Jays from the Couch, it's been very troublesome. It's been a very hard road to hoe, if you will. Especially given that I spent so much time going to games in Cleveland, not just Blue Jay games, but also other games, and making friends or having friends that I went to college with that were in the media in Cleveland. There was all sorts of just anger and angst expressed by Cleveland fans that I befriended in the stands or these local reporters against the Atkins, but really more against Shapiro because he was in charge there during those years. So it's been tough. It's been a really tough journey. What really got me to the point that I felt I needed to come out and speak out was the handling of the Anthony Bass situation. We, as an entity at Jays from the Couch, decided to certainly address it and talk about it, but not dwell on it. because I mean there are just so many other implications. You don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to, and when I say offend them, either talking about it or not going in depth enough. So we made that conscious decision not to really go in depth on the Anthony Bass situation. But that's just another example of how the front office mishandles really critical, really important situations to a fan base. But what sparks this five-alarm fire? Okay, this wildfire, like people have been dealing with, in northern Alberta, in Quebec, that's the kind of experience that I am having now. And what sparked that was not carelessness. It was reading and listening to heartbreak and confusion and senses of hopelessness being shared in conversations and on social media. And not just people that I hold dear like Karen Suter. I mean, I warned her, I said, Karen, do not watch the show. Do not listen to the On Fek Circle this week. It's gonna upset you. And Karen's not the only person. There are people I consider online friends, or people that I love to follow on social media. There are people that are truly heartbroken. When you have that kind of situation develop in your fan base, and I will argue it is the majority of the fan base, not just outliers or bleeding hearts or whatever you want to address them as, casual fans, whatever. When you have that kind of pain expressed and put forward, not just on one thing and then people go away, on a daily basis, with every game, with every loss, with every failed opportunity to drive in runners in scoring position, with every bullpen failure, with people, how they handled the Anthony Bass situation, trying to be politically correct and doing all of that and trying to have their cake and eat it too. That is what has triggered my call for the firing of Ross Atkins. Nothing else in the state of the Blue Jays right now, we as fans, we really have no control over it. In reality, we can complain and we can yell, we can call into Blair and Barker, and send tweets or whatever. It's not going to matter, especially with Ross Atkins and especially with Mark Shapiro. They say the right things, but ultimately they are so obsessed and so consumed with their plan that they don't really care what anybody else says. They're going to do it their way. Their way is failing. Their way probably has the Blue Jays not making the playoffs in 2023. Their way cost them a playoff berth in 2021. Their way set them up for that embarrassing playoff performance in 2022. That pain, that hopelessness, there's nothing worse than hopelessness in a fan base. And I know, like in Toronto, people are frustrated because the Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967, all the playoff failures. Oh, and thank you, by the way, for firing your GM, and now he's here in Pittsburgh, so I have to deal with him here in Pittsburgh. Okay, so I'm getting a double whammy here. I wanted to thank you but that's to the side. When you have that sense of hopelessness expressed, displayed on people's faces, there's nothing more heartbreaking, I think, as a sports fan, to feel hopeless. I mean, the Cubs in 1908. Oh, what a cute story. We haven't been in the playoffs since 1908. Oh, but we're going to get drunk and out in the bleachers, out in the Ivy, and look at what Wrigley Field. We don't play night games, and so in a lot of ways, I'm sure the really diehards felt hopeless at times. I'm sure the same feeling happens in Cleveland. They haven't won a championship since 1948, but when a front office is directly responsible and is too stubborn to admit their mistakes, and make changes, then it's time for them to go. And people need to sit up and say they need to go. I'm almost to the point that if they don't go, that I'm willing to suspend my fandom. I mean, I'm not longer going to commit myself to following the Toronto Blue Jays and cheering them and talking with you about the Blue Jays. I may just have to just say, you know what? I'm sorry, but they need to go. And somebody needs to say it, and say it where you can see on my face, okay, I'm not smirking. Okay, I'm legitimately angry. I'm upset. I'm frustrated. At the very least, Atkins needs to go. I understand that Shapiro, from the business aspect of it, has done wonderful things. What he did with the Dunedin complex is amazing. He has helped spearhead these renovations. His successes in Cleveland were very similar. His track record as a GM was very spotted at best, certainly in the draft. But when he was promoted, and believe me, it wasn't a promotion, but that's for another show. It's no coincidence that the Indians got good when Chris Antonetti took over, started relying more on Mike Chernoff, and Ross Atkins had his responsibilities reduced, and Shapiro was now focused on business. He did a great job working on upgrades at the shared facility in Goodyear, Arizona, that they share with the Reds. He did a great job with necessary renovations at Progressive Field. All of these things he did well. Plus, Shapiro went that extra mile. He's a Canadian citizen. And that's really important when you're dealing with business matters in a quote unquote foreign country, because he is an American. But he went. I mean, he really believes in, I think, the Canadian sports scene, and I'm not sure he believes in the Blue Jays way, but he believes that Canada is an important place. So maybe he escapes, and then you have a scapegoat in Ross Atkins. They've already gone through scapegoats. Okay, they made sure the AA wasn't around. They spread it around that he traded all the prospects away, which was absolutely a falsehood. Charlie Montoyo, a bad hire, a bad decision, made the scapegoat. Charlie made his own bed with this too, but still. Okay. Now you need to look in the mirror. Ross has said, it's on me now. When he made that change and he made all these moves, it's on me now. It is on you, Ross. I would love the opportunity to be able to debate this with you, with people like Blair and Barker. It's not going to happen. Okay, we're a nice little niche site, and nobody wants an American popping off about a Canadian baseball team. I understand that. So I'm asking you, Blue Jay fans, whether you're in Canada, you're in the UK, you're in the US, you're in New Zealand, Australia, and I know you're all out there because I get emails and private messages from all over the Toronto fanscape. It's time for you to step up. You need to make your voice heard every day, not just when you have time. You need to make it a point. If you're going to go on Twitter, you need to send a tweet that says, at the very least, #fire Ross Atkins. There can be no improvement in the state of the Blue Jays address until Ross Atkins is gone and a new direction is started. Failed policies, as Robert Kennedy said, you cannot survive with another 4 years or whatever years might be left of failed policies. It's time for someone to pay the price for all of your pain, all of your frustrations, all of your feelings of hopelessness. Someone needs to pay for it, and it's Ross Atkins. I thank you for joining me here on this edition of the On Fek Circle. I'm going to be off next week. We have kind of an interesting new approach with the On Fek Circle. That's going to start on July 4th, American Independence Day. So maybe we can declare June 20th Blue Jays Fan Independence Day. Make sure that Ross Atkins cannot do any more harm to this organization, and more importantly, to the fan base. I'll be back with you on July 4th, which is a Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Coming up on Thursday, Karen Suter's Sunny Side of the Dome. You might need to watch that over and over again in a loop to feel a little bit better after this show. But she does a wonderful job. She knows more baseball than most fans will forget, especially Blue Jays baseball. Her show is Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, The Mothership, Jays from the Couch radio podcast, hosted by our senior editor and founder, Shaun Doyle. I am blessed to be able to be a part of that show, as is Karen. That's Mondays at 7 p.m. now, due to youth baseball. What a better way to change a time slot than to help support youth baseball. 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The radio podcast is there. And, of course, anywhere podcasts can be found. You can always subscribe so you never miss a show. I'm the Fekless Wonder, Steve Fek. I'm really angry, but I have faith in you, Blue Jay fans. You have control of our destiny. So let's get those voices united. Let's get Ross Atkins out of here. And let's once again become a Blue Jays Nation united. I'll talk to you on July 4th.